Hey, 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 thank you for joining us today on the Ask Lovely Show. Before we get started, please click like and subscribe below. Today we will be discussing gardening tips for beginners, location and preparation with Jafar L. To the earth we shall return. Peace and love, Brother Jafar, and thank you for being a guest on the Lovely Bone Show today.
Peace and love to you, lovely bones, and peace and love to the audience out there. We thank you for tuning in
That's
and come
right.
back again to see us when we come back.
There it is. Before we get started, could you briefly elaborate on the meaning of "to the earth we shall return"?
I'm sure I would love to. What I mean by that, for some of you who are scriptural, read the scriptures. This is about Adam and how he was created. If you don't believe in it, it's a story. You can choose to check it out. But what I mean by it is when he created the earth, he created all this, the heavens and the earth in 6 days, and then he rested. Then
Mm-hmm.
he said, let me plant a garden and create a man to till the land. And that means to scratch the earth and plant and take care of the plants and grow your food. So that's what I mean, because right now there's not a lot of us men that's actually doing that.
True
We got
that.
machines and all this stuff, but I think a man should be growing something if they got a little dirt that they're living around and some water. So that's pretty much what I mean by it. Just returning to the earth and actually living off the earth instead of a paycheck.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what's up. I love it. And thank you for sharing that. Okay, so let's just jump right into this. So so let's say I'm trying to start a garden and I have no clue as to what I'm doing. I'm looking around my yard and the first thing I need to figure out is where is the best location to start my garden?
All right, space and location is very important when starting a garden. Right now, it's early in the morning, and I'm in a small section of my property where I started my first garden. And what you want to make sure is that you have sun that shines in enough of time to grow the plants you're trying to grow.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have access to water nearby so you can water your plants, and that's location. And space, you want to make sure that you have room to grow what you're growing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you want to deal with how you're going to grow it and what space are you going to grow in. There's
Mm.
many different methods: straight in the ground, pots, raised bed gardening, hydroponics. There's a lot of different methods, greenhouses. What I use and what I'm going to show you today is the raised bed method. So
Mm-hmm.
in this area that we're at, I have raised beds that I've built, and they're very easy to build. All you need to do is just get the wood, just look at the design, what you're trying to do, get your wood, get your posts, measure, measure out how long you want it. Mine's happen to be 4 feet wide by 6 feet long. So that's a nice size so you don't have to be stressed and reaching too far trying to get to a plan or maintenance of your garden. Now, you get you some nails. What I did, I buried these posts about probably 6 inches in the dirt, and that's my frame. And then I started nailing my boards to the side. Now, some people have them one stack high. These boards are 11 inches long, so mine are two. So my garden actually stands about 22 inches. I just wanted it that way for my purposes. You can do it any way you want. And you can make these things as long as you want. You just don't want to make them too wide because remember, you have to reach across and you have to be able to reach stuff. So I just built them. I cut all my boards the way I needed them, designed it, put it together. Now, before I put the medium in, and we'll talk about medium in a second, I put a net underneath because we have a lot of predators out here. There's gopher holes everywhere and stuff. So you don't want that getting in your garden. And this is what I'm talking about. I bought some chicken wire here and I lined it under the whole bed. Then I start dumping my soil medium on top before I plant it. And you may not want to do that if you don't have a lot of predators. Maybe you live in the city, but if you live where I live, we got gophers, moles, squirrels, you name it, they're out here. So that's your fight against growing something. Now over here, I have raised beds that are smaller and lower. These are only one stack high, so it's about 11, 12 inches off the ground and about 1 foot wide. And I made this one super long, so it goes all the way down, and I can plant different things in different sections. So that's your space right there.
Wow.
Those are very important if you're trying to set up a garden. Yeah.
Hmm. Now that looks awesome. I mean, it looks like you've done an excellent job. So, when is a good time to start planting?
All right, a good time. There's different planting seasons. You have spring planting, you have summer planting, and you have winter planting. So based on the seeds that you get, they'll pretty much tell you. I have a few in my pocket. These are bush beans, if you can see them.
Mm-hmm.
Blue Lake bush beans. They're organic. You don't have to buy organic, but if you feel like that's what you want, look for the organic labels on their seed packs. Now on the back, it gives you an idea of when to start planting. Has a picture of the whole United States, and there's colors that represent zones. It's called a zoning map. So you can see I live in California, so I would look in the either yellow to orange. So in the yellow it says plant between April and August. In the orange it says between March and August. So that's my planting window for this particular plant here. Now I have kale. I also have a kale plant right here.
Oh, my
Now this
favorite.
is a good seed brand, Burpee. Yeah, this is a very healthy vegetable right here.
Mm-hmm.
Now it'll tell you the same thing. It's got the map down here. So I live in the orange and green area. So it says March. It has two dates: March to May. So that's for your summer, and then August to September. That's for your winter grow. And then the same thing with the orange: February to May for your summer, and then August to October for your winter grow.
Mm.
And it'll tell you how deep to plant the seeds, the spacing, how much time it takes to harvest. So you'll get a lot of information on these seed packs when you're trying to grow something. And some of the easy, like a lot of things that are easy to grow is like tomatoes. So in this box here, I have tomato plant. This is a beefsteak tomato plant. I might be shading it, so let me get out of the shade. So that's been growing for a couple weeks, and I have about 12 of them spaced out. And then on the other side, I have cherry tomatoes, and there's about 6 of those. One thing you want to remember when you're growing tomatoes is you want to use tomato cages when they get a certain height. These right here are tomato cages. So I have 4 of them here. So what I'll do is when they get about another 6 inches tall, I'll place this over the plant and have the plant in the center of it, push it down into the garden, and then let that plant grow in between this because the branches will start coming out of these holes right here, and it'll give something to standing up because the tomatoes do get heavy. And you don't want them breaking branches. You want to eat the tomatoes, not lose them. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to prop them up with something like a tomato cage. They're buildable if you have the skills to build, but if not, they don't cost too much in the stores. You go to your garden department, and they're pretty cheap. They have different sizes, depending on how big your garden is and how much room you're using. Another easy thing to plant would be cilantro. They're starting to flower right now, so they can produce seed, right? But once they're done, you can cut these flowers off and have your cilantro as the leaves will sprout.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been growing this for a while. We're already eating on this, and it's really good, very spicy. Right behind it, I have cucumber plants, and there's about 12 of those, so they'll be producing cucumbers real soon. Now, this up here is what we call a trellis. It goes all the way around the garden, and what you can do with this is when the vine plants grow, you can start looping them through the holes, and that'll help give them support and grow you some nice fruits or vegetables. And then, like I said, the cucumbers, as you can see, I have them growing right through here. I already placed them. I got them going in and coming back, and they're starting to produce cucumbers here. These are very easy to grow. Once they start growing vines, the flowers and all that, the bees will come and do their job. You just make sure you water it. And I got peppers. They're very easy to grow as well. So these are serrano peppers. As you can see, they're ready to cut. They're very spicy. If you know the heat level, these are rated at about 2,000 to 30. I mean, 2,000 to 30,000 on the heat level. So that's not really high heat. That's kind of like medium heat. So those are easy to grow. You got more peppers. I got bell peppers here. These are very easy to grow. They're almost ready to pick. They're starting to get big. And spacing is very important. You don't want to plant them too close. So just to give you a few, I don't want to go through the whole list because there's a lot of things, but sometimes the seed pack will give you the difficulty level, or you can get a book and read the book, and it'll tell you exactly what you're growing and the level that you're growing on. So I'll
Okay,
give you an
so
example.
some of the easy, so you just named some of the easiest plants to grow: tomato, squash, and radish, and then you elaborated actually on a few more. And what are you about to show us now?
Right. Now, if you're really serious about getting into gardening and want to know all the rules and the basic stuff,
Oh, so
find a
so
book.
so let me say
This is not
this.
the only one.
Let me say this.
Hmm.
How can a person be sure that they will be successful um, at starting this garden?
Well, to make sure that you have success in your garden, you'll want to follow the basic principles of gardening. I'll tell you some of the basics. Sunshine is one.
Mm,
Water is another. What you plant in is another. And what you feed the plant. Those four things are very important. Those are the basic things. There's other techniques, and you'll find them as you go along the way, but never drop a basic for a new technique. Keep
mm,
the basic, try the new technique, see what happens. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to your garden. The
mm,
basic things, sometimes you can get a book or a magazine, and there's many of them out there, and they'll give you the basics all the time because
mm-hmm.
they're not going to jump into high levels before teaching you the basics. So find a book. They're not too expensive. This is just one I like, and it goes from A to Z for different things. So you can say cucumbers, C section, go to cucumbers, or you can say watermelons or compost or just terms, and it'll explain to you and it'll tell you where to research. It'll give you brief information. So
Wow,
you
that
want to
looks
make
like
sure
a
that
good
you
book.
um
Yeah, I'm
yes, it
feeling confident
definitely is.
already.
Information is the key.
Yes, sir.
So success in your garden, if you want to be successful, just make sure you're paying attention to those basics, and another thing is making sure that you love what you do. Don't half step. Because if you're not gonna do it all the way, I would suggest don't even start at all.
Right.
But if you love what you do and you're gonna put love into what you're doing, then by all means, gardening is for you. Definitely for you.
I like that. I hear that. Love what you do. Love what you do and do what you love. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Brother Jafar. I know you said briefly explain, you said to me before about how your plants feel about
Right.
you when you walk outside. So if you could just take a brief moment, oh, and share with us what you mean by uh, your plants feel you briefly.
All right. Plants are a living thing. They feel you just as much as you feel them. So what you want to do is you want to come out here with a good attitude, because they're gonna know when you're happy and they're gonna know when you're sad. It's like if you got a pet, a cat, a dog, or a hamster, whatever you have, that pet knows when you're happy and that pet knows when you're sad or mad. It knows your mood and they react accordingly. So the plants, they know my moods. Like, see how the leaves are spread it out? Like sometimes I'll notice after I've been here for a while, they might have been curled when I first came out, but then I come out with a good attitude and they start reaching out, so they're recognizing that I'm here. So you want to give them a good environment, an environment of love. going to bring a healthy garden. You're going to be eating healthy food, and they're going to love to do it again for you. But if you got an attitude all the time, you're going to wonder why your fruit don't taste so good, and you probably give up gardening and do something else. So it's not hard to do. You know, it's not really hard to do. If you got love in your heart, put it in the earth. You know, that's what I was starting, you know, when I say to the earth we shall return, the earth will pay you. If you
That's what
put
I'm
it in
talking.
the earth will pay you.
That's
I'm
what I'm
living proof.
talking
So
about.
give me some love right now. Spreading these eggshells. I just ate some eggs. So in organic gardening, you can use a lot of this stuff to help your plants grow, you know. It refertilizes the soil. That way you don't have to, you know, have so much trash. A lot of stuff is recyclable right back to your garden.
There it is. Well, I hear that. Love what you do and do what you love. Thank you, Brother Jafar, for allowing us to enter your kingdom. As promised, I will be showing you some amazing photos of Jafar L's handiwork that I spoke on earlier. And we're looking forward to sharing more with you in the near future. So please join us again next week when Brother Jafar, to the earth we shall return, will be instructing us on planting and plant selection. Don't forget to click like and subscribe below to my channel. And thank you again for hanging out on the Ask Lovely show. Until we convene again, peace and love be with you all. And Brother Jafar, that was just excellent. I'm feeling confident about starting my gardening, and hopefully others are as well. Stay tuned for this brief slideshow of this brother's handiwork.